welcome to Inbound After Hours. Today we have Stephen on the show. Stephen's from HubSpot. We'll be talking about bots. Do you want to introduce yourself? Tell us a bit about what you do at HubSpot.
Sure. So as you mentioned, I'm Stephen. I'm an implementation specialist at HubSpot. So that means I'm like a project manager. Essentially, I work with customers in their first 3 to 5 months of their time with us, get them technically set up with the tools, guide them through onboarding, align everything to their goals, and make sure that they just basically get the best experience possible, really.
Okay, excellent. Well, first question is, what are bots?
Great question. So essentially a bot is a way for a customer, prospect, lead to interact with your business on a website. Typically it's like a conversational style of communicating, so they can come onto a site, click on a button and start chatting away to a bot, and the bot can decide based on logic where that should be directing them, whether it's to do a search on a knowledge base, to open a support ticket because they've got an issue, or even, which is probably the more popular one, to basically pre-qualify them to speak to sales, so to ensure that sales are only speaking to their best leads, essentially.
Okay, you've mentioned a couple of benefits there. Any more benefits? I'm a business now, I'm thinking of using a bot. Can you list some key benefits for the listeners?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the biggest and best benefit of using a bot is the fact that the bot is available 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. So if you're a typical business who doesn't necessarily have a massive sales team and doesn't have the time to invest having them online all the time, bots can be there in place of them. And when someone who meets the criteria that you set is on the website, it can then let you know to go into the system and start chatting, or it can allow customers to self-service through knowledge-based lookups or even opening tickets as well. So it just basically ensures it is a way for a lead or a prospect or a customer to get the resources they need at a time they need in the app of their choice.
What's your gut feeling with customers you've been speaking to? Have you spoken to many customers yet who are adopting bots?
Yeah, so it's part of what I'm doing in HubSpot at the moment is to help the implementation of Service Hub, and customers are in two minds about it. They either love it or they're kind of afraid of it, and they're purely afraid of it because of the technical nature of it. They're like, do I need a developer to build this? Is it going to be really complicated? And in reality, it's quite simple and straightforward to implement, and it's about us educating them and showing them how easy it is to put a bot together and how much it can solve for in their business. And then the other side, the customers who do implement it, they love it. Like, it's solving so many issues for them, and the prime one being like the typical two-man sales team that are so busy that they can't afford to be on the road talking to customers all the time, and the bot can handle that and book meetings right to their diary for them as well.
How are you finding, something I was wondering is how many people pitch it as a bot and how many picture it as the two salespeople? So it's a person or is it a bot like at the front end?
It's interesting that you say that, because there was like a whole ongoing conversation about whether or not you should identify the bot as a bot or whether you should say it's a person, you know. Personally, I'm a big believer in following HubSpot's heart and principles, which is transparent, one of which is transparency. And I think that when you're going to have a bot, you should make the person aware that it's a bot, because if you don't, they might ask questions the bot can't answer, and then
that leaves a sour taste.
leave disappointed because they didn't get the right result. You know?
And they've been deceived as well, which is never a good thing.
No.
Yeah, and you don't want a business brand going down that road of having that deceiving nature, because then the customer's like, if they're going to do that with a bot, what else are they going to hide in the sales process or in the support process?
Especially when people are already, sorry Caroline, don't trust salespeople.
It's a good question though, because when Ricky set the bot for Digital 22 and it pops up, you can have a picture of the actual robot, or you can put in someone like Caroline, our sales team. So it's just being honest. It's actually a machine answering these questions. And just be dead honest, not sticking Ricky in there.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, you can still monitor the conversation that's happening, so you can see exactly what's happening, and if the need arises for you to take over the conversation, you can absolutely do that. So if the questions that are being asked by the end user are too complicated for the bot, you can jump in and say, hey, I'm Ricky, for example, how can I help you? Yeah. Or I noticed you said this, here's the resources you have.
I think turn round, you've got a chance to turn round and potentially negative. Like, I can see our bots letting you down a bit there, so I am Ricky.
Sorry about that, you know. Yeah.
And also, if you want to make people think it's a human, you might just think there's really weird humans working. His
answers are very scripted. Why is he giving me these buttons?
How has he given me 3 options for these? He found that article really bloody quick. It's going to be like, do I want to work with these people?
Or if you think about like that article example, he's asked me really quickly, did that solve my issue? You know, because he's not waiting. The bot's not going to wait. It's going to put that answer in there. So they might be like, oh, this guy's really pushy, trying to get me away.
Good point.
Something you mentioned in your answer about developers, you mentioned, well, one of the questions you just said then, I'm a company, do I need an experienced developer to build a bot? Could you answer that first?
Yeah, it's traditionally, if we think about bots, in the past they've really required a developer to kind of write the code and build it, and they've been built for very specific purposes. And the evolution of bots now is because messaging is evolving, because it's becoming way more mainstream, it needs to become easier for us to build bots. And that's one of the great things about a lot of the chat builders on the market right now. You know, Drift have done a great job at it, about building the bot and about helping customers implement them. Motion.ai, many chat have as well. You know, like, you don't need a developer anymore because it should be easy for you to build a bot without any prior knowledge. And if you think about most of the people at the Hug, for example, we're marketers by trade. We don't have the technical resources available to us to spend on building a bot, you know.
I think it's kind of what HubSpot did for workflows, isn't it? Don't know, 10 years or so ago, someone's got to code that automation to go out and make it all happen. Now marketers jump in, 5 minutes, whatever it is, to put it together, and you go, and there's a workflow. It's just enabling that framework, isn't it?
You showed us in your talk just then at the Hug about the tool to put in the bot answers. It is that same workflow thing as well, isn't it?
Looks similar.
If someone asks this, say this. And it's quite like...
I think that's a really good thing, because it means that for the customers who are used to using workflows, and because workflows is now on so many of our products, like it lives in services, it lives in sales, and it lives in marketing, so it means that regardless of the suite that they're using or the hub that they're using, they're going to be familiar with that style of interface, and so when they come to build their bot, the experience is the same. So they're already used to that interface. It's just a different way of thinking in terms of the communications they send from the bot. That they're more conversational in nature as opposed to sounding rigid and robotic, you know.
One of the things I get from chatting with prospects and customers is our customers don't want that. They want to just talk to us and stuff. And I was like, well, do you really know what they want? I'm probably the farthest spectrum on antisocial as you get, so I don't want to talk to someone unless I absolutely have to. But I'm pretty sure most people's personas now want an amount of self-service. You don't want to just have to pick up the phone for everything. I think a lot of people still think I'm being impersonal by putting a bot on there, and I'm kind of shunning them off, and they'll be disappointed.
People are just wandering around trying to find a blog or a bit of insight, even if they do use it as a search function. Like, how can you help me do this?
I think the thing to remember is that you want the bot to solve real-world problems. Yeah. And by always going back to that tenant, you're kind of always going to ensure that anytime someone goes on your page to interact with the bot's being helpful. Yeah. So yeah, I agree. Like, people might be a little bit put off initially, but as they get used to that idea, and as they realise that actually I can go to this company's website and get all the answers I need without ever needing to pick up the phone, you're helping them straight away, and they're going to recognise that they don't need to necessarily do that all the time, you know?
Yeah, like I say, it's serving for the customer, isn't it? If you sit down with the challenge you've got and the best solution genuinely is pick up the phone, do that. If it's a bot can do it and it's the best way to do it, use a bot, use a landing page, whatever tool you've got as a marketer in your arsenal, it's what's the best for the persona, what's the best for the customer. And
there's nothing stopping you having the bot hand off to live chat, or having the bot book a meeting, or whatever the end result is, because you can build all the logic into a single bot so that it can take multiple activities, take multiple actions depending on what the customer needs at that point in time.
I think out of hours as well, our persona as marketing professional, we know all marketers are workaholics. They don't shut the laptop at 5 o'clock. We could be working at 10, 11 o'clock, Christmas Day, and it's the fact that a bot's there to answer their questions.
Yeah, and then the fact that it's integrated into knowledge base and ticketing means that I can go onto your bot, ask it a question. If the question's been asked before, if you've got a detailed knowledge base, it can return the articles in the chat, check to see if it solved them, and if it didn't, open a support ticket for your team to follow up when you're back in the office. And at the same time, trigger an immediate email from the system saying, hey, we got your email, here's your ticket number, we'll be in touch. You know,
what would be really good as well is you can analyse the answers, I imagine, the questions and answers that your bot's interacting with users. So and like, how many times, you could just look at it and spot 10 people have asked, where's your pricing?
Yeah.
Like, okay, we need to make that more obvious on the website.
Or build that as a logic stream into the bot. So if they're asking, if you see that the bot is constantly getting questions about pricing, for example, you know the pricing is publicly available on your website, why not give the bot access to it and put some conversational messages in around pricing so that they don't actually have to go and look for it. It just gives them the answer they need right there and then.
It all sounds fantastic, this, but a question a guy's just asked in the audience that was really got to throw it down there. How long does it take to build a bot? How long will it take to do something like this?
So this is the beauty about the HubSpot interface, especially for ourselves, because if you're already used to our platform, building a bot is fairly straightforward. It's just like building a workflow. The key things you need to think about are what's the end goal you want to achieve. So what is the bot in this instance going to solve? And once you've done that, you've got an idea as to what the action is, or the end goal is, you can then start mapping out your actions that are going to take place to get that person there. During the presentation, I showed a bot called Junior. Junior has 5 actions. It can schedule a call, book a meeting, it can open a support ticket, search the knowledge base, and even something I'm trialing is submit content ideas. So it's like an internal mobility, internal change management pipeline that basically people can submit ideas into and then decide whether or not we're going to open that. Junior took about 30 minutes to build.
Okay.
And that's similar with most of these tools. Before HubSpot launched its bots, I think our first bot was built in ManyChat. We had to go on that, and that wasn't too bad. Again, similar sort of time frames. I think that most of them are pretty user friendly. Even if you're not in HubSpot, you can find something that's pretty user friendly. The one thing I like about what HubSpot did is take the time to do some set sort of templates, and that does really shave off, I don't know, 80% of your time.
And I think the fact that we have the templates really helps, because in implementation, a lot of the questions we get are around best practice.
What should I be?
Yeah, what does a good bot look like? What's best practice for this type of messaging? Well, here's 3 templates. This will give you a framework to start with. And then you can change the questions, add your own content in. Junior, for example, was originally a lead qualification bot that I changed, added in all the additional actions using the bots tool, and now it does all 3 templates in one. But, it's so straightforward.
And how is the best way to get started? I'm thinking, when I did it back in the day, you start with the problem, I get a whiteboard and I kind of say, roughly this is where I want to go with it before I jump in and start doing it live, if you like, in the back end. I'm just playing with it. Is that a good approach? How do other people approach getting started?
I always recommend to customers, and I kind of touched on it in the last question, I always recommend that looking at your goal is the first and most important thing, because if you go into the tool, HubSpot's great, there's so much going on there, and if you go in there without a goal in mind, you might not end up where you want to be.
I create a monster. Oh, we can do this. We can do that as
That's
well.
how Junior came about.
Sure. What's that button do?
So I always say to customers, think about what problem you want to solve right now. Is it that you need to lead qualify? Are your sales team being slammed on live chat and you need to kind of reduce that? Lead qualification is the answer. Or is it that you're getting a lot of support calls and you want to kind of reduce that? Maybe the support bot's the answer. And then obviously the meeting one, that kind of speaks for itself, because it uses the meeting tool to put meetings in the chat window. So it means that if your team are on the road, or if you're like us in implementation where we have a lot of calls going on, customers can book their next call with us right through the chat.
I had a really good use case for the qualification one. Recently we recommended to one of our clients to set up a bot, because we're getting a lot of visitors, but the conversion rate was quite low. So they set it up, and what they found is there's about 80% of people coming on the bot with a direct end user of the customer, where they were the B2B company. So somehow the direct users would find a way there and saying this isn't working, but it's not them that does it, it's the reseller that does it. So we set up the qualification bot, and it literally saved up hours and hours and hours of the person's time, because those were just going straight through to a live salesman sat there oh, that's not us that does that, go here. And it basically just asks, were you looking for whatever the direct support terminology is, or are you wanting to actually talk to us that sells the technology? By just putting that one question in and then qualifying, that's literally all we did. It's one question. If you answered with the right ones, you can speak to someone. If not, it just says, this is where you need to be to find your answer, which is another third party.
Works at every end of the scale as well, doesn't it? Because I remember we had a client who was we did a party service, like a function, event hire thing, and they had a lot of questions that was just can we have it for my party next week? And it's like, what's your budget? 500 quid? No, it's £5 So, but they'd get hundreds of those a day. So.
And at the end of the day, if you're a small business, that's just going to completely suck up all
Yeah.
the time.
And you miss the one that could be the
Completely,
Yeah.
and that's why I always kind of position it that you want your sales team, if you're going to do like conversational messaging, you want your sales team speaking to the best leads at the moment in time that is right for the leads. So using qualification questions allows you to kind of stream out the ones that don't necessarily need to be spoken to now. You can still follow up with them offline via mail, or if you happen to have a quiet day.
Nice touch in the example you gave was, can I just have your email address in case we get disconnected?
Yeah.
Again, and it speaks to the conversational nature and the style that you want to put in there, because you want it to feel really relaxed. What the end user doesn't realize is you are absolutely gathering their information. You know,
sure.
you've seen in the example, like it's taken my name, my email address, it's asking me about my issue or what I'm looking to talk about. So it's doing it. They just don't realize it, or it's not as obvious that it's happening because it's much more relaxed. You know.
One of the things you touched on in the talk was the problem this solves is the sort of multi-device, multi-operating system, multi-platform world we live in, where marketers are thinking, I've got to be perfect on an iPhone and on a tablet or whatever these sorts of, and on multi-platforms. Bots kind of gets rid of that because it's just a very simple interface that pretty much works on any device, and you're not going to have those issues with like responsiveness and all the sort of stuff you get if you're trying to build out this as a website, which I quite like.
I think it's the best example of conversational messaging because, and I think I added to it on the definition, it's on the platform of the user's choice on the device of their choice.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter if you're Android or iOS, or even I think there's some people out there using Linux or Windows still, I'm not really sure. You know, you can still use this because it just requires a web browser.
Yeah.
And the bot will work regardless,
Yeah.
whether it's tablet, desktop, mobile, whatever.
And then the other side of that is that the platform that they're on as well, because obviously a lot of the bots that we've referred to are on your website bots, but your persona lives in Facebook, for example. You could have the bot right there instead of them needing to come to your website to solve as well.
And I think that speaks to the future of where bots will ultimately end up, is that I can see them being more and more connected to Facebook, to Twitter, to the live messaging apps. So we can see that Microsoft did it really well. They've got an AI chatbot on Kik where you can go in and ask it questions. It can make drawings. You can send it a photo and it will create like a handmade drawing of the photo. So you can see that happening. Even if you think about Google Assistant, they recently got it to be able to make a live call to a restaurant to book a table.
Yeah.
Like that's the future. That's where we want to end up with, you know. And I think HubSpot could end up there eventually.
we need to link to that talk, the Google one, in the notes below, because that's
It's so cool.
amazing. And I know everyone was like, is this fake, is it real? But either way, the technology kind of shows what it could achieve, doesn't
Looking
it?
at the talks at Inbound is a bit of a digression, but I saw a talk that's on at Inbound on how to use Alexa in the workplace.
Okay.
But like, it was the description was the level of Alexa, book a meeting room for 3 people at 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
But that's step 1, isn't it? It's exciting to see
Completely.
where we'll be in 18 months. time.
Because with Alexa's like app actions, I know it's not technically a bot, but with the actions you can add on to Alexa, a developer can plug that into anything, you know.
And the logic's the same. I've got a problem, I've got a logical flow I need somebody to go through to get to an end result. If you're going to make the time building out a bot, when it comes to the time that things like Alexa and stuff are going to be prominent, you can just apply that same logic straight over.
We're going to see the same thing in Siri and iOS 12 with Siri actions, you know, the
Yeah.
ability to define a logic, define a goal, and have Siri do it for you.
Fantastic.
It's the future.
Exciting
Yeah.
stuff.
HubSpot have just recently launched a new portal called Conversations. Do you want to tell us a little bit more about that?
I'm really pleased they launched this week actually because it's so timing's perfectly apt for this hub. But Conversations is our 4th product line, and it essentially is going to be like I think the best way to describe it is like a communication center for businesses. So you can connect shared emails. So you think like your support, your sales, your marketing. You can have multiple inboxes in there, so you can separate it all out and have individual users working on it. But it's also the home of live chatting bots. And that's really the future, right? Because you want the business to be able to communicate with the right people at the right time, but at the same time, have a place to store it in the system without having to go looking for it. Conversations is integrated into the rest of the other 3 hubs. So you see the CRM on the right hand side of the screen, you can see past tickets, past conversations. It automatically stores the communication on the timeline as well. So it's just a really nice integration and a nice way to bring businesses to bring more of their communications into HubSpot and to really align them across the 3 hubs and the CRM as well.
kind of shows the way sales and marketing's just going in general is around this conversational theme of, doesn't matter what it is, email, live chat, bots, having the ability to communicate people with when and how they want is just the theme at the moment, isn't it?
Absolutely, and I kind of touched on it in the hub, but this idea that conversational marketing is approaching and becoming more and more front of house now. It's not going to replace inbound, but it's like a supplementary on top of inbound, right? Inbound is still your primary way of getting leads, but conversational marketing is going to give you a way of getting the best leads at the best time. You know.
Oh, sure, and utilising the content you've already created in a lot of cases as well.
Okay, where can our listeners go to see a good example of a live bot where they could sample it, type some stuff in, and see what they get back?
I'll give you two. I think I used one in the Hug TechCrunch. It's really great because it's on Facebook. They can see exactly how a Facebook Messenger bot will interact. They can register for their bot. It will send them articles, but they can also tell the bot, hey, I like this topic, and this topic, and the bot will then start sending them articles on a regular basis around information that's happening in the news today. The other one I'll give, and it's not HubSpot, but you know they've done a great job on it, and that's Drift. Drift have recently replaced a lot of their front of house with a bot, so you can actually interact with bot front of house, speak to the bot and find out like what it will ask you, like what are you looking to learn about today, and is it just that you want to learn more about bots, or are you actually interested in a platform, and it will give you a lot of information. They've done that really nicely, so
that's a bold move as well, isn't it? Kind of.
I think it's a smart move.
It is,
because it just allows their sales team again to focus on their best leads. You know.
And the other thing you touched on briefly there was the ability to push out. So on Facebook Messenger, for example, if you're speaking to people on that, you're building up a second subscriber list separate to your email subscriber list of people you can push out to as well. And when we tested that on ManyChat, fair enough, it was a moderately small sample size of a couple hundred people. Open rates are like 90%, and you touched on email being 20% in the UK at the moment, and there's a marked difference there. It's
becoming harder for marketers to get into the inbox of their contacts. If we think about the dreaded May 25th, GDPR, that time I've lost track of the number of emails I got from businesses. I got emails from businesses I didn't even know I'd registered for, so I'm not surprised the open rates dropped a little bit. But you're absolutely right. People are engaging with messenger apps. Like, think about it. I mean, I'm wearing a smartwatch. As soon as I get a message on Messenger, it alerts me straight away. And I'm probably going to respond within 30, 40 seconds. So statistically, the chances of getting your users and getting your contacts are much higher. And it makes sense. You've got an open rate of 90%.
That's really interesting.
Well, I know you've got a flight in about 3 hours' time back to Dublin. Any more questions, guys, before we let Stephen go? Or?
No, just thanks for coming and talking to the Hug. It's been super interesting and exciting to see where all of this stuff goes.
See you at inbound, yeah?
Definitely, Find out myself.
I've got one more. We always like to put this at the end. If you could leave the listeners with one key takeaway, how to get started with bots, what should they do?
One key takeaway to get started with bots. I would look at how your business is interacting with contacts right now and think about a real problem a bot could solve. Primary example, we spoke about it, like you've got a lot of leads coming through on live chat, they're not all qualified, bot can replace that, and you'll then instantly be able to have your reps spending more time with the best type of leads. Once you've done it once, you'll then start to see the potential for deploying bots in other scenarios and maybe even building your own version of Junior.
In 30 minutes.
In 30 minutes, yeah.
Well, thank you, Stephen.
No problem.
Thanks very much.
Pleasure.
And to all the viewers, what we'll do is we'll put the link to the video, what Stephen's just presented at the Hug, and it tells you a lot more. There's a lot of animation on your slides. Really impressed with that. And just have a look, see what you think. And thank you, and we'll see you soon.
See you next week, guys. Bye bye. Cheers for that.